Moon Platoon, if you guys watched the very first part of the Third Bridge breakdown of exactly what happened behind closed doors last week, this is the same company that announced GameStop's partnership with Microsoft, so we were looking for some juicy details here, such as, has GameStop bitten off more than it can chew? Is it overpromising on becoming an e-commerce giant, an Amazon killer? And I'm getting choked up thinking about it, but we do have Ryan Cohen becoming the next, starting on June after the annual meeting. In June 9th, GameStop is going to have a brand new board, chairperson of the board, the boss of the CEO, Ryan Cohen. That's right. So can he actually put his money where his mouth is? Can he actually turn GameStop into that Amazon killer that we all know and believe GameStop can be? Well, let's actually go through the rest of the questions. If you guys haven't seen part one of this, we answered we go through 8 questions, explained them with context, and 2 Ape did not understand this in the grander scheme of things of what GameStop is planning to for its e-commerce and esports transformation. And if you guys have not yet subscribed and pressed that like button, I would really appreciate it, because my brain is starting to melt after all of the crazy news that we have heard today. So without further ado, let's get going here. Is there a risk that GameStop is overpromising in its online business and it can't deliver? I think there's great risk there, because you have to hope that consumer behavior is not baked. Digital online purchases are not baked into the customer. And as we look through COVID, Amazon pretty much became a utility during the same year. As you look at the consumer behavior from young people in the 30s and 40s, they have great memories of GameStop from when they were children, of going to the store, being in store, you know. So this is a little bit of getting off topic of talking about becoming an e-commerce website. They've just purchased directly from the console, their mobile or PC. And what if everybody's consumer behavior when they're buying something online? It's going to be Amazon, right? So now they're talking about the Amazonification of these essentially monopolized markets. Can they become one for the gaming industry? Because if I'm going to be buying a pair of sweatpants, I want to buy a TV, and I want to buy a phone charger, and I want to buy a game, I can do all of those on the same website there on Amazon. Best practices can go a long way. So essentially, are they saying they want to do that for gaming? There's a lot to shore up there in inefficiencies. If you're betting shorter term, I think it looks better. But if you're betting long term to say, is this completely going to turn around simply the way that video games are purchased digitally and the competitors out there and the consumer behavior, I think it's about 7 years too late to be making this pivot. I think it's about 7 years too late to pivot. So that is some news from the mind of the leaders from GameStop. Incredible. This is something that we know Ryan Cohen believes strongly in, right? Chewy was a brick and mortar dog and pet shop before Ryan Cohen came through and dealt with it, right? So as of right now, Amazon might be the most convenient place for, you know, the common consumer. But we know that apes out there are going to want a one-stop shop, a GameStop for the kind of gaming materials. And that's why we are going to turn around this interview in a little bit, but I want to be able to make it clear that they think that this pivot should have happened much earlier. What do you think the Power Up Rewards, GameStop's recently launched membership program, given the company's turnaround? So this is something specific to GameStop here about Power Up Rewards. So yes, I don't know the number of loyalty members in public, so they won't state that, but it's extremely large. They have great contactability with many people. That data is valuable not just for GameStop, but for potential partners. So this is GameStop telling you, hey partners, we have a lot of data that we wouldn't mind giving you a little access into what people are interested in terms of shopping. If Amazon said that, people will get concerned. But as of right now, I think GameStop is trying to leverage as much of the loyalty that GameStop has started to gather throughout the years. And this is true, right? This is a big service. Here you go, Meatball. He wakes up and he has a treat right in front of him. Power Up Rewards are fantastic. So this is a way for GameStop to continue and not only having a tether to their main base, but be able to have that feedback loop and actually understand how to talk to their customers. I think that they should, in my opinion, leverage this as a way to be able to actually give back and not just say 10% off the next 50 games or something like that, right? So as of right now, I think these Power Up Rewards could end up becoming personalized like a Reddit avatar, right? Or like an ability for you to really connect with the people local to your GameStop. Like they said in the beginning of this post, this transcript, that they want your friend to be the local GameStop guy. So there you go. Number 11, could GameStop gain greater value from power-up rewards? Are there specific additions or changes that could help the program fuel the company's turnaround? Yes, I think it would make a driver to their website. It used to be driving in-store traffic because then you had access to competitive advantage, which is the associates. If you could get a customer in the store, you like the chance of closing the sale. So this is basically asking, hey, the question I was asking, right? Basically, how do you take this asset that you have right now and turn it into a big win? Because it's not only data that you have, it's the connection to your consumers. And it's not every company has that, right? If you imagine like what company doesn't have a loyalty program? Like a Dollar Tree. Right? A Dollar Tree has no way to be able to talk to its consumers, even though people are probably pretty loyal to a Dollar Tree. They want to be able to go to a Dollar Tree and say, hey, I want to buy this thing and that thing. Every time I know it's going to be for $1. So what kind of discounts and what kind of information could you even be like telling them? That's why there doesn't need to be a loyalty program for that specific type of business. But for the Walmarts, Targets, Kohl's, Kmart's, is Kmart still a thing? And GameStops of the world, they do need to be able to double down on this loyalty program and actually understand that there are people that actually signed up for a reason. And to give them more value is the actual goal here. So let's see. So one thing I would state is the downside of a digital strategy, that it kind of cuts out the competitive advantage, which is the GameStop associate. But to go back specifically to your question, if you want to be the Amazon of gaming, you need people to come to your website or app. Yes, this person knows the internet very well. You can see, if you want to be the Amazon of gaming, you got to have people enter their app. Think of a focus on exclusives, whether that's content, whether that's to see the game trailer for the first time, whether that's they've done a great job at the collectible standpoint of exclusive Funko Pops and things of that nature. Basically, a lot of the gamification elements of this is give them good exclusive rewards on a timely manner, on an expected process of being able to visit your local GameStop app or the website every single day. Sometimes you could just give them points. Right? You know that SoFi does this kind of thing, where you just open your bank account and suddenly they get you an additional point. So if you guys haven't gotten $50 to invest for free with SoFi, that description has been in this link since the beginning of this channel. So go ahead and use that link down below. How can we leverage this data for partners? I think what I'm seeing a lot of my day-to-day currently is seeing a lot of companies, a lot of agencies wanting to get in front of kids because they're all playing video games, and that's a big question. The viewership of traditional television is declining. Viewership of traditional sports and participation is declining. Every kid is playing a video game. How can we get in front of them? Yeah, they're asking the right questions. But I wish there was more answers. Like they understand that gaming is becoming a ritual that is, started in the 90s, but now really, and the pandemic has hit, become your day-to-day for many, many people. So how do you be able to take advantage of this stuff? Great questions, but I wish there were more answers other than Ryan. I'm not a loyalty expert, but Ryan and his team are going to be able to fix this. I kind of wish that most of these answers had an actual solution and not just Ryan will fix it, because otherwise then Ryan should be the one answering these questions. I guess he wasn't announced to be the chairman of the board, and he isn't the chairman of the board yet until June. I'm expecting him to be able to answer these questions when that comes. How do you assess the viability of GameStop's pre-owned gaming business? Do you think this business could shrink, right? As a main piece of trying to enter the e-commerce website, obviously the brick and mortar and the actual trying to sell used games will shrink just by default, but also what do they think about changing their entire business strategy overall? Let's find out here. Yes, this is what one of the biggest concerns are. I see you, Matthew, asking about calls and puts. I will right after this. A lot of people don't think about you have all of these bigger digital video game purchases. So you have less physical inventory. And then less inventory is not terrible, right? Then you have fewer things that keep like like overhead, like storage and keeping the lights on and stuff like that, right? Not only is GameStop losing physical shares and physical sales and sales overall to digital options like directly to publisher, the consoles or Amazon or things like that, but as they do that, their biggest profit margin, like we've talked about before, is the pre-owned games because they are purchased so low and resold at such high price. We talked about that in the previous part 1 video where he says this is the part of GameStop that nobody likes, not the person that sells their Crash Bandicoot Vintage Edition for $5 and then has it resold for like $55, and not the person that develops Crash Bandicoot Premium Edition and then saw that GameStop essentially just gouged them out of a brand new sale. Someone else could have bought that Crash Bandicoot from that publisher. And now GameStop gets to make all of that money without the permission of either side, without the, I guess, the acceptance from either side. Not only is it a decline in sales, but it's a decline in sales with the largest profit margin of what we're selling. Well, profit margin is not everything, my man. It's about having people be happy. It's the most important pieces here. Ooh, El Rando is giving us some really good thoughts about GME. Focus on GFX rigs, competitive gaming. Focus on deals with chip makers equals win. Software is commodity based. Hardware is making a comeback. Us old heads were around when the hardware was king. Hashtag Meatball Mafia. There is so much wrinkled brains in the chat right now. It is astounding. So these are the questions that he offers, I guess, not as solutions, but like what are we gonna do when we have fewer sales? Make sure that I would say one thing for GameStop is make sure that you're actually answering the question here. So let's see. Yes, I think that one of the more concerning pieces of the whole business, I should say, is that pre-owned inventory is declining because of the rise in digital sales. And not only is that lower sales, the lower high margin sales, not only do you have a decrease in sales, you have a decrease in margin, which is very concerning. Well, very concerning indeed. I wish you had a solution instead of just telling us it's very concerning. Is there any way GameStop can make up the margin decrease from pre-owned inventory declining? Okay, so that's a great follow-up question. Esports with revenue and profit have to come from ventures such as esports. It's really difficult to make money in as a whole, so that's another topic or conversation. Wow, okay. Very not a bullish start to this answer here. They do have the opportunity to push the peripherals that are relevant to any game, your headset, your mouse controller, keyboard. There's an opportunity to do content with esports around those products and to feature those to push those sales. But as far as something that is as high margin as pre-owned game purchase, I don't really see it. I would like to see a focus on lifestyle apparel in GameStop stores or online. That's something that in the esports market, the customer can really respond to. Oh look, they're even mentioning some. He's like, I've researched some of these. 100 Days, FaZe Clan, Alt, Esports Apparel is another way to shore that up. But as far as the same scale of pre-owned gaming, it's hard to see something that's really going to completely replace that. So I'm going to bring out Mr. Whiteboard real quick to give you an idea of what GameStop should actually be focusing on. Right? If you guys have seen a 4-part diagram before of how businesses and people make money in the global economy, there are really only 4 different ways, right? You can be an employee. Even Ryan Cohen, as a board of directors, he is just an employee, right? However, you can be a small business. So your mom and pop shop, your Euro stand down the street, or even the person, owning a GameStop franchise or a McDonald's franchise, right? That is small business. You can be the McDonald's themselves and actually sell burgers and be the big business. And finally, you can be an investor and someone who is taking the lowest amount of, maybe high amounts of risk, but the lowest amount of overhead and capital needed to be able to actually make a big buck. There's a lot of different tax incentives, but really, do you want to be able to be on this side of the markets here? And most importantly, you want to be one of these guys turning into one of these guys. The biggest example is McDonald's, right? They started in business, right? They were a big business, they sell burgers, right? They franchise those burgers. But really what they're doing is investing, right? They're turning their real estate into their biggest piece of how they make money. And now the business, these two actually support each other. With more real estate comes more business, and more business comes more real estate. I have a proposition for GameStop right now, right? You have already covered in this document, this interview, that you want to make GameStop a place where people can come hang out, and it is an actual location that people want to be loyally supporting. Well, then make it that way. Make GameStops a hub for actual gaming. You've already started with the gaming chairs, but that is just a start, right? Esports, after school activities, actually getting people in the door, parents to push their kids to do this remote teamwork building here, and then have everyone sign up for this kind of like Ready Player One oasis of investing in the e-commerce website, right? Have people push into this online platform so that you can build all of the rest of your company on the e-commerce side, right? Forget about trying to do both. It's impossible. You're never, once again, they're like, hey, we're gonna have a lot of our high margin used game sales plummet. Yeah, you probably will. You probably will, because you're not focusing on turning from this business into actual investing. So make sure that these hubs are for the most cutting edge. Your kids are going to learn about crypto here. Your kids are going to learn about like VR and AR here, right? Your kids might even learn how to code, right? So like build out these investing opportunities for the online e-commerce website, and have the business itself be a place for kids and other learning opportunities about gaming overall, right? Exclusive meetings with developers and stuff. I'm sure that scales at scale, right? Obviously, someone like me, I would have to contact each and every developer myself. But a person with GameStop, they might have whole teams to be able to funnel through, this game is going to have an exclusive meeting with this developer. At the end of the day, that is something that you need to understand. People want to go to GameStop because of a certain feeling, right? And it may not be the highest margin used game sales in the near future. So you have to innovate, you have to keep growing, and you have to just focus up on how Ryan Cohen wants to change the company, and actually ask him before going into an interview like this and not having enough answers. I think we only have 3 questions left. How can GameStop drive up accessory purchases in 2021? Yeah, accessories. They really want to lean into that, right? When you go into a GameStop, you might see some like fun little mascots or some toys or stuffed animals. Hey, yes, bundles are definitely a strategy that's been seen in the past. Whether you're going to bundle a game with a console, bundle a headset or a controller with a console, those things happen all the time. With the rise of Fortnite, which is an online game, there's going to be a lot of headset sales. Oh yeah, people want to be like, hello, what's going on? Roger 123. So this is, if you can replicate some of that knowledge from the associates to be on the website, so mom and dad shopping for the right product that they're not too familiar with can find the right answer on the website, that's the way to plus that out. Exactly. If you want to be a hub where parents feel comfortable enough to send their kids, and then use that platform to explain how mom and dad can spend their money, that is the synergy right there. Being able to turn education into advertisement. And then finally, 15, how would you assess GameStop's real estate strategy and footprint? Oh, it's kind of like I predicted the questions, right? How do you turn yourself into that real estate giant like McDonald's? So I know historically it has been very mall skewed. From what I would like to see, there have been so many stores that when you see them, the number of stores that are reduced, oftentimes it's a small percentage. So you can flood the market with too many stores. Like you can have a Starbucks right down the street from you, and then another Starbucks like right across the hall, right across the street, because it's in a plaza and this one's in a mall. I think the most impactful thing that they can do is focusing on the larger stores that can be more experiential. I cannot agree more. Have them be the Kumans of the world. Have them be the places where people can send their kids and know that they're going to be learning and growing together. Seriously, if your goal is to push in-store traffic, which has been in the past, it's very hard to do when you can't do anything special in the store that would drive that traffic. They do have a number of extra large stores. I don't know if that number is public, so I won't share it, but I think you've decreased a lot of these smaller stores. You don't need one within 10-minute drive of everybody in the US anymore necessarily, right? So focus up on larger stores that are essentially going to suck all of the blasé, neutral teens and kids that spend time in the mall and have no idea what they actually want to do. Right, that is the kind of market that I think is currently untapped. You go and you have no idea what you want. You want to be able to eat, you want to be able to shop, you want to be able to like have an experience. You go to the mall, and if GameStop can promise one like the one that you kind of go into the Microsoft store or the Apple store, and you just feel like you're in like a futuristic place, that's the experience that GameStop should be focusing on providing. Okay, I think he also answers a bunch of that as well. Focus on larger and experiential. 16, I think this is the last question. Nope. Okay. Okay. What do you think about GameStop store's role in the company's more online future? Well, I think I'm going to roll up these questions in a sec and then talk about them. And I don't think I want to make a part 3, but these questions are really important. So once again, I really appreciate all of you staying until the end of this video, making sure that you guys have smashed that like button and that subscribe button, and clicking the link down below if you guys haven't gotten your 2 free Webull stocks, as well as $250 of free BlockFi. Here are the people that make this show possible: Moon Platoon, Gorilla Nair, and the Meatball the Space Legend tiers, and I will see you in the